Hello everyone, my name is Aliffiani Shafira from Trisakti Institute of Transportation and Logistics. Now I will discuss about material requirement planning on inventory management. The introduction of inventory management. The definition of management itself is an activity to plan, organize, mobilize, and supervise or control the company. And the definition of the inventory itself is stored material or goods that will be used to meet certain objectivities or can be resolved. Inventory management is in a retail business is a part of the company that's function to manage the inventory of goods owner, starting from the how to obtain inventory and storage until the inventory is utilized or released. What is MRP? MRP or Material Requirement Planning is a planning method used in supply chain management to manage inventory and optimize production. MRP assists companies in planning the needs of raw materials, components, and finished goods to ensure the production runs smoothly and inventory stays within necessary limits. There are the inventory function. First is provide a second stock or inventory, then balancing production with distribution so that production in the factory and distribution are balanced, then benefit from quantity discounts or discounts for interfering parts, then hedging or limiting losses to inflation or ups and downs or change in the price of a product, then maintaining operational continuity with a company. From the MRP process, there are inputs and outputs generated. The first of input MRP is Master Production Schedule. Through MPS, we can find answer to a number of questions, namely, what does the company plan to produce? What is the quantity required? At what time will it be needed? And when will the product be produced? MPS is developed in conjunction with marketing distribution plans, production planning, and capacity planning. The second of input MRP is production structure file. Through the production structure file, we will know the steps or process of making a product from raw material to the final product. The third of input MRP is master file. Master files are often called inventory record. Every MRP system must have and maintain an up-to-date inventory record for each component items. This data must provide accurate information about component availability and all inventory transactions, but those that have accurate and those that are being planned. The fourth of input MRP is bill of material of BOM. The BOM contains a list of item or material required for the assembly, planning, and manufacture of the final product. BOM or bill of material is created to determine which item to buy and which item to make. And then the There are the output of MRP. First is MRP primary report. Second is MRP action or exception report. Provides planner with information on items that need immediate attention and recommends action to be taken. Third is MRP pegging report, used to easily trace the source of gross requirement for an item. With pegging, planning reports can determine the needs that result from orders. MRP mechanism. First is netting. This is the process of calculating the net requirement, which is the difference between the gross requirement and the scheduled order receipt and the beginning inventory. Offsetting is a process that aims to determine the right time to place an order to meet net requirements. Loading. It is a process to determine the optimal order quantity for each item individually based on the result of the net requirement calculation that has been done from the netting process. Exploding. Explosion. Exploding is the process of calculating gross requirement for items at lower levels. This calculation is based on the ordering of product item at the upper level. From the MRP process, here is an example of the calculation. The master production schedule or MPS of product super is prepared for this week and the following 13 weeks. Setup cost is 500,000 rupiahs per order. Storage cost is 800 rupiahs per unit per week. With a lead time of 3 weeks, current inventory on hand is 80 units. The product will be finished processing in week 4, plain 20 units, and week 8, plain 50 units. Gross requirement, structure, product, BOM, and IMF are shown at the following table and figure. We'll start by looking at the product structure. So here is the product structure of the problem. Starting from what is the top and when the bottom, the product super. Below the product super there is H and K, and then below from H there is W. After we see the product part, we can proceed the bill of material. Level 1 has component H and K, Level 2 has component W. For each quantity, there is 1 and there are 2. Then the source can be obtained by making or buying. MRP is done starting from the topmost product structure. Here the topmost product structure is the super product structure component. Gross requirement can be moved from the question to the table. Receipt schedule, namely the time when the goods will be received or arrive, which can be known from the problem. Calculation can be started from the first period. Inventory on hand in the problem is 80. In weeks 1 until 3, there is no gross requirement or schedule for receiving goods, meaning that the inventory on hand remains as it was at the beginning is 80. In the fourth period, the inventory in hand becomes 100 because there are 20 goods coming that are written in the receipt schedule. So if at the beginning you have 80 inventory, then you will add 20 new inventory item. The fifth period does not have cross requirement and acceptance schedule. Then it is still written as much as 100. In the sixth period, only have a cross requirement of 400, but we only have an inventory of 100. Then the remaining 300 goes into net requirement and in hand as much as 100. Then the remaining 300 go into net needs and order recipients because we use the lot for lot method where how much is needed, that much will also be bought. Needed, that much will also be spent. Because the lead time is 3 weeks, then 300 will go into the order plan contained in the 3 weeks before the 6 weeks. In the seventh period, because inventory in hand has been used up and has no inventory in hand on scheduled receipt, is written 0. In the 8th period, 90 goods will arrive, so we also have 90 inventory on hand. In the 9th period, we have a cross requirement again of 300, but we only have inventory on hand of 50. Then the remaining 250 goes to the net requirement and order receipt plan. In the order plan section, the order is placed 3 weeks before 9 weeks. So 250 is also written in week 6. By checking the inventory on hand, if there is a supply schedule in the inventory increase, but if it has a cross requirement, the inventory on hand will decrease. The calculation step is repeated in each part of the product structure. However, it should be noted that the order plan in the earliest product structure section will become the cross requirement data in the product structure section below. It is also necessary to pay attention to the quantity required. In component K, because the quantity required is 2, the gross requirement written is 2 times more. That's all I can explain. I hope my explanation can be understood and useful. Thank you and see you.